everyone, I'm Fronica and welcome to Aussies Do Homeschool Season. Today I'm going to be talking about timetabling or scheduling your homeschool, so stick around. Last week we went over what was the best curriculum for your homeschool. We talked about some of the things that you should consider when looking for a homeschool curriculum and whether you needed to follow a curriculum or whether you were free to do your own. This week, however, I am talking about timetabling or scheduling your homeschool curriculum into your week. But before I do, if you like this video and you want to see more on my channel, please press that subscribe button down below and the little bell. It will notify you every time I drop a new video, which is great because I'll be dropping a new video every week with a step-by-step guide to homeschooling for beginners. Now, timetabling. Wow. When I first started putting this subject together for this YouTube video, I thought it was going to be really easy, but then I quickly realized just how not easy it was going to be. You see, I could show you my timetabling, but my timetabling is put together because of my needs, my children's needs, my family circumstances, and they are going to look very different to the next homeschool family, to your homeschool family, or to any other homeschool family. So that's why I've decided to show you my way. It's quite a simplified way, and I'm hoping that out of that you will get at least a beginning, at least an idea to then create your own. To start with, if you have purchased a complete program or complete curriculum, you will most likely have a timetable or program set into that. They will tell you exactly what they want your children to read at any particular day, any particular week or term. They'll set the questions for that particular subject and you just need to follow that timetable along and you will get there. Easy peasy. Now, for all of us who have not got a complete program, we've got a little bit more prep to do. And depending on your circumstances will depend on how much prep you have to do. Now, for all of you who need to follow a state or national curriculum, you can actually use that as a guide and set your timetable to that particular curriculum that you're following. For us that do not follow a state curriculum or a national curriculum, we have a little bit more freedom with our timetabling. So here's how I do it. Okay, so I start with a blank table. Now, I have made this table up in Word because I'm not the best in Excel like some mums that I see out there, and I'm very jealous. I made this in Word. It is a very simple table. Now, I will do this every term. We have 4 terms in Australia, so every term, at the start of the term, I'll do a few changes depending on what the circumstances of that term are. Now, what I do is I put the days of the week up the top, Monday through to Friday, and then I put the subjects that I want to do down on the left-hand side. I will put the more frequently done subjects at the top, sort of in order of how we do them in a day, and then the less frequent subjects down the bottom. So some of the frequent subjects are reading, typing, copywork, times tables. We will do those every day. And then English and math we do on most days, and then I go on to a unit study, computer or coding, the language we choose Spanish, science and geography subjects. Now they aren't done as often in our week, and some are done some terms and not others. So that's just the way I put mine together, and that way I can follow it along easy. Okay, so then what I do is I take my highlighter and my pencil. Now I always write in pencil, so that way if I need to change something, it's easy. I don't have to do a whole thing again. But some of the things that I know are going to be on certain days, like appointments that are ongoing, or one of the days we actually do a special activity, which I will talk about in another video, I will actually block out those particular days. So the whole of Wednesday we block out because we actually do something else on that day. And then what I will do is I'll go and put the extracurricular activities that I know of as well. So, and outsourced subjects. So for us, we do coding, and that's outsourced, and I'll highlight that block. We also outsource Spanish, and I'll do that block as well. And then that way, I put in the time that we go to that particular appointment, And that one is a constant. It never changes, those ones. Okay, so next what I would do would be to pop in the extracurricular activities that my kids do. Now, I always leave a couple of blank lines to put things in, and I also write down the bottom under the particular day that I'm thinking of. So on, say, Fridays, my children do drumming, and I will pop that in there. And on Thursdays, they do art, so I would put that in there. And Mondays, they do tennis. And there's a range of other things they do, but I'm going to tell you them all because that would really bore you. But we would pop in the times underneath there. Okay, so my schedule or timetable, however you want to call it, ends up looking a little bit like this, and hopefully you can see that. Hopefully. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm writing in what they do each day. The ones that they do every day go up the top. Then English and math is 3 days a week. We do a unit study. At the moment we're doing Australian history. They do computer studies 1 day a week. That's an outsourced subject. We do Spanish 1 day a week. That's also an outsourced subject. And at the moment we are not doing geography. We're going to do that next term. And then I pop in drums and all their extracurricular underneath. So hopefully you can get a little bit of an idea of how I do it. So being an eclectic homeschooling family, we tend to, like I said, take a little bit out of different styles of homeschooling. One of the things we do is a unit study. That's why I am doing history, Australian history this term. And with that, we will do science. We'll look into navigational tools. We'll do a report at the end of it with potentially a timeline. That will be a lot of English work that we'll do. We do look a little bit at the geography that comes with the history. So we're looking at the explorers and how they traveled around Australia. So if we talk about a particular area when we're doing the history, we'll look at that then on the map of Australia, and we'll discuss that at the same time. Next term we'll be doing Australian geography, and we will delve into that for the whole term again, and we'll do exactly like we did with Australian history by putting it into a more unit study approach of doing it. Now you're probably thinking when you look at this, where is all the preparation? Where does it say what pages they're doing on any particular day from, whatever the textbook is that we're using or whatever the resource is that we're using? And you're right, I don't have any of it, to be honest. What I do is give a guide of what I'd like to do that day. Now, most of the programs that we use tend to move at the pace of the child. So say in math they're using Prodigy, that moves with them, and when they master a particular subject or unit in it, that will then progress them on. So my children, if they're doing say 30 minutes of math in a day, it will move them through in that 30 minutes to what they're actually learning and what they're achieving. I don't tend to say, well, you need to do this many, because if they need help in any particular area or they want to go faster in any particular area, I need them to have that ability to do so. So our family does it in this way because of our circumstances. So some days my children are going to get a lot done, we're going to have great days, and then other days are going to be a little bit harder, and I need the ability to mold my teaching to how they are feeling towards their studying that day. Some days they go way ahead in what they need to do, and then other days it's really hard to get anything out of them. And I find that if I was to set a timetable that was so rigid, I believe that I would actually feel quite anxious about that I was falling behind if I didn't get it done. And my children would then feel that anxiety from me and probably feel the same way as well. So we do it in this way to give us a little bit more freedom, and we seem to get everything that we need to get done, and they get a great foundation with their math and English, which is the most important part to me. And then we treat all other subjects as experiences, as a way of exploring and learning, and that works for us. Now, you may be the type of family that really needs to know exactly what you're doing at any time and tick off those things as you go. I would love to be like that, I really would, because then you sort of have an idea of where you are at any time. But it's just not my circumstances. But maybe that's yours, and maybe that's something that you really need to think about when doing your schedule, and then you know where you are, what they've learned, and you can sort of just go tick off as you go, and then you're done. Simple. Anyway, now I find being a little bit more flexible in our schedule and our timetable really helps us for a number of reasons. Now, my children are both 2E. This means that sometimes they have really good days, like I said, where they get through a lot, and then other days they find it a lot harder and it takes them a lot longer to grasp whatever we're learning. And I need that sort of flexibility to manage those days. The other reason is that I work from home, so I'm running a company, or two actually, and I find that sometimes things go wrong in those companies and someone needs me. There's always an emergency at the worst possible time and I have to deal with it. So if we have a flexible schedule and something pops up, I can then put whatever we're learning on the backbone for an hour or however long it takes me to deal with it, and then we come back to it, or we do something else and we come back to it another day. And having that flexible schedule really helps in relation to that. So there's also a couple of things I wanted to mention as side notes, as well as having my schedule in front of me, which, like I said, I do in pencil so that if I need to make changes, I can very easily, and I don't have to actually write the whole thing out again or start scribbling things out or using whiteout. So apart from having that, I also have my diary, and each day I will write in the things that we're doing that are usually the extracurricular things that we're doing in there, because I carry my diary everywhere for work as well. So this helps me to not forget things which I have been known to do. I also have my homeschooling journal, which I pop in things that I really need to remember or ideas. So say if there's a book that comes up, I will pop it in there for potentially a new book report that we do. I put all their passwords to their online programs in here so I don't forget them. And I put down ideas of maybe excursions that we might go to, or programs that I might like to look into, or subjects that we might want to do. It's sort of like a thinking journal, just to give ideas and options of future activities. So I have this one as well. So basically the timetable, my diary that I also use for work, and my homeschooling journal are the three items I use to keep myself sane, but also to keep my schedules for homeschooling. And that's basically all I use. Now, I would really love it if you could put down in the comments below whether you are a rigid timetabler, you have to have all the details in there, or if you're a little bit more fluid like me and you need to be able to change here and there. That would be great. Pop down in the comments, what kind of homeschooling timetabler are you? Okay, so today I have shown you how I timetable or schedule my homeschool, and that's not going to suit everyone, but I'm really hoping that it will help guide some of the new homeschool families out there in working out how they want to timetable or schedule their own homeschool. Now, next week I'm going to be getting a little bit more personal when I talk about why I started homeschooling. I know there are so many different reasons out there why people start homeschooling, so many different stories, and next week I'm going to share our story. Now, to be honest, I am quite nervous about it because it hasn't been the easiest road for my kids when it comes to their journey, and we are still a little bit vulnerable when it comes to telling our story, but we will endeavor, and next week I'm going to talk about why I started homeschooling. Now remember, if you like this video and you want to see more on my channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below and the little bell, because you will be notified every week when I drop a new video in my step-by-step guide to homeschooling for beginners. Thanks guys, and thanks for today. See ya! And down the bottom are extracurricular. So my children's sports, so say they're doing tennis or taekwondo, I'll pop that down. My children don't do taekwondo, so I'm not sure why I said that.